the street that slept early. Maplewood Lane had a reputation for being forgettable. It was the kind of street people drove past without noticing, lined with identical houses painted in muted pastels. Soft beige, pale gray, faded blue. The lawns were trimmed on Saturdays. The trash bins rolled out on Thursday nights, and by 10 o'clock most lights were off. Nothing remarkable ever happened there, and that was precisely how the residents liked it. On that particular night, the air was unusually still. No wind stirred the tall oak trees that arched over the road like silent sentinels. Porch lights glowed warmly, casting long shadows across concrete driveways. Inside the houses, families finished dinner, teenagers scrolled on their phones, and elderly couples settled into their recliners to watch reruns of old shows. The neighborhood was drifting into sleep, unaware that calm was about to be shattered. At 11:42 p.m., a single sound cut through the silence. A sharp, metallic clang, followed by a muffled thud. It came from the far end of Maplewood Lane, near the house that had been sold just 6 months earlier. At first, no one paid attention. Sounds happened at night. A trash can tipping over, a car door slamming, a stray cat knocking something loose. But this sound lingered, echoing strangely in the quiet, as if the night itself had paused to listen. The house with the blue door. The house at 27 Maplewood Lane stood slightly apart from the others. Its door was painted a deep navy blue, a bold choice in a neighborhood that preferred neutral tones. The man who lived there now, Daniel Harper, had seemed polite but distant when he moved in. He waved, nodded, exchanged brief pleasantries, but never lingered in conversation. Daniel worked late hours, at least that's what he told people. His car often returned after midnight, headlights sweeping across neighboring windows. Some residents found it odd, but no one pressed him. Maplewood Lane respected privacy. Inside the house, that night the lights were off. The curtains were drawn. From the outside, everything looked normal. Too normal. What the neighbors didn't know was that inside, the living room was in chaos. A lamp lay shattered on the floor. A chair had been knocked over, and near the coffee table, a body lay motionless, blood slowly pooling beneath it, dark against the hardwood floor. The first witness. Across the street, in a house with a white picket fence, lived Mrs. Eleanor Finch, a widow in her late 70s. Sleep rarely came easily to her, and that night was no exception. She sat by her window, knitting under a small lamp, when she heard the noise. She looked up instinctively, her eyes drawn to the blue door across the street. First, she saw nothing. Then the porch light flickered on. A figure appeared briefly in the doorway. Mrs. Finch couldn't make out details. Only a tall silhouette, shoulders tense, movements hurried. The figure stepped onto the porch, looked up and down the street, then retreated back inside. The lights snapped off. Her heart began to pound. Something about the moment felt wrong. Maplewood Lane wasn't a place for hurried silhouettes and flickering lights. She reached for the phone, hesitated, then set it back down. What would she say? That she saw a shadow? That she felt uneasy? She told herself not to overreact. Still, she couldn't bring herself to return to her knitting. A call in the dark. At 12:17 a.m., the local emergency dispatcher received a call from a payphone near the highway, 2 miles from Maplewood Lane. The caller's voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. There's been an accident, the caller said. Someone's hurt. At 27 Maplewood Lane. Before the dispatcher could ask more questions, the line went dead. Within minutes, police cars were rolling quietly into the neighborhood, lights off until the last turn. Officers approached the house cautiously, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The blue door was ajar. Inside, they found the body. The victim. Her name was Laura Mitchell, 32 years old. She didn't live on Maplewood Lane. She was a freelance journalist, according to her wallet, and her phone was missing. The medical examiner would later determine that she died from blunt force trauma to the head. There were signs of a struggle, but no forced entry. She had known her attacker, or at least trusted them enough to let them inside. The discovery sent shockwaves through Maplewood Lane. By morning, police tape cordoned off the house. Neighbors gathered in small clusters, whispering, speculating. Their sense of safety evaporating with the morning, a neighborhood under suspicion. Detectives canvassed the street, knocking on doors, asking questions. Everyone had a story or claimed they had nothing to report. "I was asleep," said one man. "Watching TV," said another. Mrs. Finch told them about the silhouette. Her hands trembled as she spoke. "It was just a shadow," she admitted. "I didn't see a face." Still, it was something. Daniel Harper was nowhere to be found. The man who vanished. Daniel's car was missing from the driveway. Inside the house, detectives found his wallet on the kitchen counter, his phone on the nightstand. It was as if he had left in a hurry, taking only himself. Neighbors struggled to reconcile the image of the quiet man they waved to with the scene inside his home. "Daniel? He always seemed so normal," one woman said. "Kept to himself, but friendly enough." Normal, the detectives knew, meant very little. The journalist's secret. As investigators dug into Laura Mitchell's background, they discovered she had been working on a story about corruption in a local real estate development. A development that, coincidentally, included Maplewood Lane. Old records showed that the house at number 27 had been sold under suspicious circumstances. Daniel Harper wasn't his real name. The quiet neighborhood was built on secrets, cracks in the calm. As days passed, fear settled over Maplewood Lane like a fog. Doors stayed locked. Porch lights remained on all night. Children were kept indoors. Mrs. Finch stopped sitting by the window. Police released Daniel Harper's real identity. Marcus Hale, a former accountant with a history of financial crimes. Laura had been closing in on him. The arrest. Marcus Hale was arrested 3 days later at a motel near the state border. He didn't resist. He didn't speak. During interrogation, he finally broke. "She wasn't supposed to die," he said. "I just wanted her to stop asking questions." Aftermath, the trial lasted 6 weeks. Maplewood Lane residents packed the courtroom, seeking closure. Marcus Hale was convicted of second-degree murder. The house with the blue door was sold again, the door repainted white. Life slowly returned to Maplewood Lane, but something fundamental had changed. The residents had learned a hard truth. Even the quietest neighborhoods can hide the darkest secrets. Epilogue. Years later, new families moved in. Children played on the sidewalks. Laughter returned. But on still nights, when the air was quiet and the streets slept early, some residents swore they could feel it. The memory of the night everything changed. Maplewood Lane would never be just another forgettable street again.